All right, good morning, everybody. All right, so I am Dr. Jem Thomas Barry, who's a country representative, CADI country representative for Grenada, right? And today we're going to be talking a little bit on pest and disease management of the South American Palm Weevil, right? This is exactly what we have here. So y'all can come up and have a look at it after, right? It is also the vector of the Red Ring Nematode. Mr. Noel will have also mentioned that as well, right? So I'm not going to say long, but just to give a little briefing, Mr. Augustine will have talked a little on it as well. But the coconut industry has emerged as a lucrative and a high growth sector in the Caribbean, right? Due to surge in demand driven by global health trends and coconut-based products, right? Now, Grenada once had a thriving coconut industry, but it declined. Mr. Augustus would have said the same thing as well. And one of the major reasons why it declined was as a result of pests and diseases, okay? So to revitalize the sector, right, to take advantage of the markets, the Ministry of Agriculture will have invested in introducing high-yielding and disease-resistant varieties. And Troy will have also mentioned that as well. CADI will have also contributed to that effort from a past project, all right? So, for Grenada to have a thriving and successful coconut industry, based on our past experience with pests and disease, a key thing that we need to have is a robust protocol, particularly for pest and disease management. We have to have that, right? And in particularly for tree crops, because you know tree crops is something that is a lifelong investment. You put in all your money and your input up front. So anything that happens and take down the trees, it'll be a major loss, right? So as such, the Ministry of Agriculture and CADI will have partnered to conduct what we're doing here now, is what we call a pre-readiness training on pest and disease management, all right? And these sessions are essential as we prepare for the introduction of the new planting material that will be coming in, right? All right, so now going to take a little bit back. All right, so the South American Palm Weevil is a species of what we call a snout beaker. So we have some samples here, you can have a look at it. They have a kind of protruding snout part, and that is what they use to pierce the trees, all right? It is also the primary vector for the red ring disease, which is caused by the nematode, right? Tree mortality rates are approximately 35%, and it has been reported within the first 3 to 10 years of establishment. But here, for those who remember, Mr. Augustine would have said that a tree that was about 1 year old, yeah, he actually saw beakers in it. So in Grenada, a survey that was done in the 70s found that 72% of the beakers that were collected at the time carried the nematode, and that's the nematode that caused the red ring disease. Another survey that was also carried out in the 80s showed that 92% of all the trees that succumbed to the red ring disease was infested with the weevil. The same weevil here that we have here, right? This clearly shows that there's a strong relationship or association between the beaker as well as the red ring disease, right? Good. Now, I'm not going to talk about some of the symptoms here later on. I'm going to show you some pictures. So for time's sake, I'll just skip that. Now, we have a problem, right? One, the weevil alone, this weevil alone here, if it infects the coconut trees, it will kill the tree. Two, the red ring disease also kills the trees, right? A tree affected with both the weevil and the red ring disease dies faster. And if we look back at the last slide, we can clearly see that a tree that normally have the weevil will ultimately more or less have the red ring disease because of that close association. All right? And how this is a really big problem is that they do something called a synergistic damage, which means they work together. So you have the weevil, it creates wounds that facilitate the entry for the nematodes to go inside the plants, right? And by making these little piercing wounds inside the plant, or the trunk of the plant, or the coconut plant, it makes room for the nematode to go inside. Not only does the nematode could go inside the plant, but for other pests and diseases. For other fungal diseases, Phytophthora, Fusarium, because you're puncturing and you're making entry points for diseases to enter the plant. On top of that, the nematode, as Mr. Noah will have said, weakens the tree vascular system by blocking nutrients and water transport. And the thing about it is that when trees are stressed and trees are going through either disease or any type of stress, they release certain chemicals into the environment. And you know what happens? These chemicals attract more insects to come in. So it's a bad situation that's going on there. So why is the nematode now eating and feeding on the vascular system? The tree releasing these chemical signals, more weevil coming in and attack, and the plant becomes more stressed and weak, and eventually it will die. Hence the reason why it's dying faster, right? Now another problem is that there's a traditional trapping system, a pheromone trapping system. The traditional wrinkle claw pheromone trapping system had low adoption rates among farmers, right? And the reason why the adoption rate was quite low among farmers is that you get variable results. It's quite inconsistent, right? And over time, farmers tend to stop the use of using the trapping system. This here is an example of how the old trapping system was. You have a recycled can or some whatever container. You dig a little opening here. You add the pheromones inside here. And the bottom of it, you have some food source, right? The insects will go in, either attracted to the pheromone or the food source. And in the food source here, there's normally some kind of insecticide. It meets the insecticide and it dies, right? But because of, if you look at the opening and the structure, sometimes the beetle might go inside, but not go down and get the insecticide. So some might go and some might come out. So you get kind of inconsistent or variable results, right? So, briefly, the life cycle of this weevil. We have the egg stage, which takes about 3 to 5 days, right? Now, as Mr. Augustine would have said, it likes to go between the leaf, the young leaves, so up on the crown where the soft tissue is, between the leaf axil and blade, it will go and lay its eggs there. That's its most preferable place to lay the eggs. But it can also lay eggs on any wounds or cracks on the trees. So if you're walking up on somebody, take a spike, you know, some people that take spike to climb the coconut tree, you're actually creating puncture marks and entry marks for the beetle to go in and lay the eggs, right? From the egg, we go to the larva stage. The larva stage takes approximately 40 to 80 days. Then from the larva stage, we go to the pupa stage. We take about 14 to 21 days. And we go back to the adult stage, right? The life cycle takes anywhere between 42 to 56 days. Now, this may vary a little bit depending on environmental conditions, right? Generally, the male tends to live a little longer, but generally, the lifespan is about 42 to 56 days, okay? Feel free to stop and ask questions at any time, right? Yes. All right, great. So the most destructive stages of the life cycle is the adult and the larva. One, with the adult, both the male and female, they feed on the plant. So obviously they're robbing the plant of its nutrients and puncturing holes, right? Two, the female, again, when she wants to lay her egg, she goes into the little cracks to go and lay her eggs, and whilst the eggs are hatching, they will bore through, so that causes damage to the plant. And three, both of them are really good flyers. They could fly. From the report, they can fly 31 kilometers in one journey. So that means it's rapid spread. Yeah, rapid spread, so they can fly. The second most destructive stage of the life cycle is the larva stage. And here, from the last slide, we saw anywhere between 5 to 8 weeks, these larvae, they feed in. And not only do they feed, they have they're aggressive feeders, very aggressive. And they feed on the soft tissue inside the plant, so you can't even see it. By the time you see it outside, it may be too late. So they aggressively feed in all the soft tissue in the stalk inside the plant, all right? So how the red ring disease is transmitted, let's give you a little back in. So we have the female, the infected weevil, adult female weevil, which carry the nematode that causes the red ring disease from any neighboring tree. So you might have another tree that have the red ring disease, and it feed on it, so it get the nematode, right? It goes in and it lays its egg near the crown. Remember we talk about up on top of the crown, or any wounds or any cracks in the tree, so you're gonna lay eggs right there. And each female has the capacity under right environmental conditions to lay about 700 eggs in this life cycle, right? Right, 700 eggs, right? And each larva, so when these eggs, they'll hatch, each larva, one in this larva, can house up to 10,000 juvenile nematodes. Now, you remember Mr. Noel was saying the nematodes are really small. You had to take a microscope to see it. So it just showing you what's going on, right? That is why we need to control it. Hence the reason for this training as well, right? And that can stay through the rest of the life cycle. On top of that, we already know that the larva is aggressive feeders. So by 5 to 8 weeks of feeding, and it's already have the nematodes inside of it, the likelihood of it getting to the tree is high. Right? And from the time the tree is infected, before symptoms begin to appear. So remember all that thing happening inside that you don't know, you see the tree looking nice. So by the time you start seeing leaf getting yellow and all kind of drama taking place, anywhere between 7 to 112 days or 1 to 16 weeks, that's it, the tree will die, right? Well, obviously it depends on different situations. So you can take short, a week or maybe 2-3 weeks to see the plant start to die. On top of that, what we have to be extra cautious is that the nematodes can survive in the coconut husk. So when you're thinking the husk safe, it can survive in the husk for up to 4 months. And in the seedling tissues for up to 2 years. So if you get seedling from an infected tree and you're looking to plant it, trouble. Right? Right, good. So, I'm not going to take long on that because I think Mr. Augustus will have went into details, but briefly, we will be talking about the symptoms for the red ring disease. Now remember we said all leaves first, so it starts getting yellow, then brown, you see that? And then if you're moving up to the younger leaves, right? You move down again. So these are some pictures from trees in Trinidad. So what happened, you see the old leaves? The old leaves, this one here completely dry out, and sometimes what happened, it fall along, it collapses, it dies, and the disease progresses to the new leaves, right? Similarly here, we can clearly see, look at the old leaves, they're completely brown and yellow. And if you look at the new leaves from the tip, it's starting from the tip, and it's spreading, and it's going down, right? This is one way you can distinguish it, all right? So it mostly affects it at the flowering stage. Adult palms 3 to 10 years. And that's really bad because imagine you will have buy your plants, give it some water, give it some fertilizer, 3 years come, you're seeing flowers, you're feeling nice boy, returns coming in, disease take it down. Right? Now we just talk about that with the oldest leaves, it appear yellow first at the tip and they move towards the base, right? And eventually sometimes it turn brown and drop down. We saw it in the picture, right? Yeah. It can also affect the flower, the necrosis. You may see darkening of the flower and falling of premature nuts is also a symptom of it as well. Now, the red ring disease the symptoms is very similar to another serious disease called border rot disease, right? The only difference between the red ring disease and the border rot disease is that the border rot disease, the yellowing start from the youngest one. Remember the red ring start from the old ones? The border rot start from the younger ones. So the younger ones start getting yellow first, right? Right. And also, Troy will have also showed us the brick red or brownish ring of discolored tissues in the trunk, roots, and petiole. If you cut the tree, cross-section, if you cut the tree, a cross-section of the tree. Right? So this is a picture here. What happened here? So this is a picture here of the tree, red ring. See, you cut it. If you look here, you see the vascular tissue. You get a kind of brown, right, kind of brownish ring right here. This one here, they didn't cut the tree right across, but you just do a little cross section. The person suspected that the tree must have a red ring, and you see that kind of brownness here right by the vascular tissue. This is another example here. This tree was infected with both red ring and the weevil. So you see some little holes here, destructive marks here. But if you look closely, you see right by the vascular tissue, you see that little reddish, brownish color there, caused by the red ring, right? Disease. All right. So symptoms now of the weevil. Now you see SAPW is a South American palm weevil. We just short this and call it the weevil, right? But weevil, which is this here, right? Now one, it is very, very, very difficult to detect in the early stages. Very, very difficult. However, because they really like the top, remember they like the top part, the soft kind of meristem part, and they really like between the leaves. If you're monitoring your field and paying close attention, the top or center leaves may appear shortened, or you may see a little cut tip. It's not the best symptom to look for, but it's something you should observe if you're monitoring, right? And you may also see that the young leaves, or the new leaves, the growth are a little bit retarded. It's not really growing how vigorous, how it's supposed to grow. Right? Now, key symptoms. The larva stage. You can clearly see these larvas here. People who come up and have a look at it as well. The larva stage, you see holes, or where they tunnel and they burrow. So if you go in a palm tree and you see these little holes, most likely you're infested with the weevil. And you know, coconut does perfect juice is kind of netted, kind of leaf margin. There's something that's fall from the coconut trees. You pay attention to that. You see little holes all through it, most likely you had the weevil, infestation of the weevil. Right? A key thing again too, now remember, the same plant here that Troy had, right? Inside the coconut. Now remember, you can see what's going on inside the coconut, right? But why is they inside there? They're eating it, they're pooping, they do all kind of thing, more diseases come in. So you make it a smell. You may pass by a coconut tree and get a kind of foul smell. Yeah, get a kind of foul smell. Yeah? You may pass and say, oh, that's smelling so on, but it's inside the tree, rotting. So you pay attention to that as well, to a foul smell. And obviously when you cut it open, you definitely see the grubs. We have some here as well. And you can see all the tunnel marks and the, where the worms have been boring and eating all the soft tissues inside of the trunk, right? So, management of this weevil and the red ring disease. Now, because there's a close relationship and we see that between the weevil and the red ring disease, if you manage the weevil, you more or less will manage the red ring disease, which is a good thing, right? So, monitoring and early detection. We cannot run away from that. You need to monitor. So you need to regularly inspect your palm for any signs. Remember the signs that we talk about? Any signs of maybe yellowing. So you may see some yellowing taking place. Now, yellowing is a kind of difficult thing to really monitor in the sense that a lot of things cause yellowing. Drought could cause yellowing. Nutritional deficiency could cause yellowing. But normally, when it is a disease or caused by some biotic factor, but a living factor, not like drought and nutrition deficiency, you will see a progression in the field. So you may go in this party and say, oh, I see this tree looking yellow. Then 2 weeks pass again, you see all around, all the trees around you start going yellow. Then as you move down in the field, so pay attention. Most likely we have some kind of a biotic disease, right? Whereas if it's like nutrition or maybe drought, you'll go and see the whole field because the drought is affecting everybody. You understand? So pay attention to these signs. It will give you a guide whether it's a nutritional or whether it's some biological thing. Right? Holes in the trunk, we talk about that again. Sawdust-like fleece. So remember why they're feeding inside and they're boring. Sometimes you might see, go in your garden and see them like chew up thing. Chew up kind of dust and thing. Pay attention to these things as well. Smell, we talk about the smell as well. And you may see a fibrous cocoon appear within leaves. Remember the pupa stage, you form a little cocoon. So pay attention. You may see it fall along, it may be empty, but what caused that? You know, pay attention to these things. Key thing again too is to report. Report. These red ring and the weevil and all of that are pests of major economical importance, meaning like it wiped down an entire industry, right? So it's important that you report. We have the Ministry of Agriculture, Pest Management Unit, report it. We also have other agricultural stakeholders or institutions on the islands. CADI is one, AICA is one, among others. Report, right? We all collaborate, so whoever institute you report to, eventually it will, and in fact, it's a coconut committee, so it'll be shared, right? Good. So now, management, how do we manage it again? So another way of managing it is through the use of the pheromone traps to monitor and control populations. Now, the wrinkle clear pheromone trapping system is not a new system. It's been there for a while. Remember we talked about it wasn't as effective in the past based on how the people used to use it or the farmers used to use it, right? It's really a synthetic chemical signal that mimics the natural scent of both the male and female. So you kind of mimicking it, saying, oh, a male there, a female, let me go and check. And then it's a trap, right? That's how the trap works. Now, CARDI being a regional research institution, will have worked with stakeholders over the years, and we will have worked to develop and test as well as validate and improve trapping system. So this is what I'm going to show you briefly here. We have also pamphlets here showing you how to make it. It's a really low-cost system. So I'm going to demonstrate it now. Right? So we're managing it, right? So you can get you can use 2 liter bottles or you can use 5 liter bottles, right? This is a 5 liter bottle, Grenada water bottle. Everybody see, you get 2 of these. Right, good. So we're removing the first 15 centimeters from the top of one bottle. So we're cutting out this, right, from here. You can measure it, but from here to here is about 15 centimeters. So you're cutting this out. So you're ending up with something like this. Right? Forget the fancy thing outside, but you cut out. Imagine you take the bottle and you cut it out, right? You can see it? Yeah. Good. Then to this other bottle. So the next bottle now, you're trying to go down now from the mouth. So this is the mouth of the bottle. You're measuring about 20 centimeters and you're making a little window. A little window. A little 10 centimeters by 12 centimeters window. Let me just show you. So imagine this is the next bottle. Forget about the thing inside. Imagine the things inside not there yet, right? But you see what I'm talking about? Yeah. You make the window. So 10 centimeters by 12, right? Yeah. You make the little window. Good. Then now, when we make the little window, right, we're going to flip it, and we're going to punch some holes on the side. See it? We flip it, punch some holes on the side, and we're attaching a wire hook, right? A wire frame hook. And you also want to have a wire frame hook to put in the pheromones, as you can see here, right? Right, good. Now this is the bottom here of the trap, right? So the bottom of the trap, this is what we do. We punch in 2 holes here at this side, we punch in another hole here at this side. And we add in a little wire frame here, and we add in a wire frame here. Everybody see? Yeah. This is the bottom of the trap. Then about 4 centimeters from here, we drill in a little hole here, right? Punch in a hole here, and from 4 centimeters to the bottom here, we drill in another hole here. Good. So we're taking the first half of the trap, and we put it down like this. Oh yeah, thanks. Right, we put it down like this. Now remember we had a little hole and we drill, so we're taking this here and we're attaching it. Right? You're securing it. Hold on, Don't want to get trouble. Right? We go on the next side here, and we secure it. Right? Right. So you see it's sturdy. Thank you very much. So it's sturdy, right? Good. Right. So we also wrap it. If you look at that, that's one of the improvements. Yeah. Right. Right. For those who may not be able to see clearly. So if you see, we wrap it with this kind of green kind of material, right? Who could tell me why you think we wrap it? Right. Right, so you get like a traction to crawl into the trap. Now remember, so that's one, as simple as it is, it makes a big difference. Because when you use another container, it's smooth because it can't go into the trap. So this, just using that alone is a big improvement, right? So we add that all around the trap, right? Good. Now, the bottom of the trap is where we put in the food source, right? So we're at the bottom, or to be sure, right? Good? Or before I talk about that, let me just talk about the inside. Now, this here is the pheromone. So you can't really see clear what's behind here. We'll talk about the red one just now. The red one is something else. But we'll explain. The red one is actually an improvement, right? So the typical one, you should just have the pheromone, which is just this alone, which is behind here, right? You see it right here? And people will come up and have a look at it as well, right? Right. So we talk about the netting on the outside. Right, good. Now, the bottom part, now, although I seal it up and everything, but before you seal it, you're adding the food source. So we would have done research and would have found that the best baiting trap to use is sugarcane in water, right? Previous farmers, they used to use sugarcane and molasses. You may see in literature, other places, they use things like pineapple and stuff like that. But sugarcane and water create a kind of fermented scent, and they like that, right? So you put the sugarcane and the water, in the water, right? And like it says here, it's more effective than the traditional practice of molasses or cane and molasses combination. Good. The sugar and water. And remember, we drill a little 2 hole on the side here. The reason why, when we add it in here, in case rain comes, it won't just overflow. So anything excess will go out. Okay. Right? Yes. Remember, we did a little hole on the side here? That's the purpose of that. Good. Now, the next thing, this red thing you see inside here, this is what we call ethyl acetate. We call it a ringomagnet, right? Now, what we have found from doing research throughout the region is that when it combined with the pheromone, right, it increased the efficiency of the trap. So that's another improvement, or that's another advancement to the old trap, right? So let me just go along a little bit. How am I going with time? Right? Yeah, I passed it already? Oh, okay, let me go. All right, good. So we have the pheromone and we have the rhizomagnets, right? Let me just go a little briefly to show you some of the results that we have. Right. So if you look here from the graph here, and these are experimental trials that were done in Trinidad with other stakeholders, right? Covering almost, well, actually more than 135 acres of land. If you look here, you have this one here is the pheromone, the wrinkle clear pheromone and the sugarcane. This one here is what we just have. The wrinkle clear pheromone and the wrinkle magnet plus the sugarcane. And this one here is the farmer's practice. The farmers, they only use the pheromone and the sugarcane and molasses. And clearly you can see this one, over a 16-week period, will have captured 4,583 beetles. The farmer's old practice will have captured only 4,126 beetles. If you look, the difference is 457 more beetles. Right? And just to show you how powerful that rhizomagnet is, if you look at this one and this one, two of them is the same thing, you know. The only difference is that the red thing you see in there, which is the wrinkle magnet, is in this one. And the difference is 1,228 beetles more. Knowing that one beetle could lay about 700 eggs in its lifespan. And it only takes about 30 larvae to kill one tree. And only one beetle infected with a red ring disease that could actually transmit that. 457 beetles collection is a big difference, right? It's a big difference.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Was that research done in the same area or in different areas?
Different areas in Trinidad, south, north, west, different areas in Trinidad. Each large coconut plantation, approximately 135 acres of coconuts.
The west is 100 acres of a single plot?
Yes. So 100 acres at a single plot throughout the major coconut growing areas in Trinidad?
I'm just asking, what I'm trying to get in my mind, the difference, because that second difference is not very big if you do in large area. What the farmer does to what you do in the middle there. If you, what the same time of the year, from research, previous research, what the rate of infestation you have in each of those areas.
All right, great. So I will answer some of your questions a little bit more in details after, right? But what you're talking about more is more the experimental design, right? Which is a little bit more in detail. No problem, I can always talk to you after. But for the interest of time, I will move on. But the experimental design was a randomized design. Was done in the same area, and it was done in different blocks. So different blocks will have the same treatments within particular radius to make sure that the experiment was scientifically sound. You can go a little bit more detail afterwards, right? So same time, same location, number of replicas per treatment, etc. Yeah? We'll talk a little later. Yeah?
Sorry, brief question. Exactly how many traps would you suggest per acre?
Well, we get into that. You get into that, right? You get into that. Time up, right? Okay, good. All right. Right. So, the improved method, the improved trapping system method, apart from getting more beakers, it gets more female beakers. So, more female beakers are being trapped than males. So, I've just shown you how the how the ring magnet is much more effective. And on top of that too, it captures the beakers at a much faster rate. So remember, every week they'll go and check it over a 16-week period. Yeah?
Can I keep it down here? Sure.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so let me move on a little bit. All right. So, to answer the young lady's question, she was asking, so this slide should answer the question, right? So traps should be placed at least 10 meters away from coconut trees and preferably in a shaded area. 2 traps per 4 to 5 acres is quite effective, or 2 traps per 2 hectares is quite effective as well. Is recommended, right? And traps should be spaced at least 100 meter radius from each other, okay? Traps should be checked at least twice a week. So you go to check it to make sure everything is okay, the weeding knocked down nothing. You know, the food inside is good because over time, you'll start to ferment and start smelling bad. So you may want to change the little food source, add some sugar cane and water, etc. Right? Or sometimes it could be really dry and all the water dry up. You understand? Good. So apart from making changes to the trapping system, right? Now, if you look here too, we call it a funnel trapping system. And the reason why too, you see how it's a funnel? You remember the last trap was just a big square hole? So they go in and they can fly out. But once a beaker go down in that funnel system there, it's difficult for them to come back up. So it means that whether they go and get the food and drown or not, they get trapped inside, they fly, get tired, and eventually they'll die. Right? Right. Now, yeah, we get into that. We get into that. Right, so apart from just the design of the trap, apart from just the additive, which is the wrinkle magnet to the trap, we also did experiments in terms of position of the trap. Ground was more effective than the traditional traps placed at 1.5 meters above the ground. Now you would think because they're flying, it's better to go higher. But from the experimental trials that we did, we realized that on the ground, you get more beakers, right? You get more beakers on the ground itself. And we think that because they tend to be active in the morning and in the evening, although they fly a lot in the day, but they tend to be more active in the morning and evening. So that is why maybe ground better. So you see why trials is important? Because you may think, put it up high, better, but the ground was better. And then we just...
Most of the time, like when they fly too, when they're about to seize their flight, they tend to fall to the ground. You can notice that home, like when I have the pheromone outside. When they come, most of the time they just knock something and they fall down on the ground.
Oh, well,
and
you
then
see?
they take off again. So most of the time they tend to go over the ground and land on top of something.
Well, you see, so maybe that way the ground was more effective, right?
Yeah.
So here, look again too. Same treatment. We have the same pheromone treatment, the same wrinkle magnets, the same food source, the sugarcane and water. Ground versus above ground. And clearly, you see the difference. They capture 864 more beakers than when it's above. Right? Okay. So, I know my time has run out. I think this is the main essence. Right? I don't want to take up. You want me to continue? No? Continue?
Yeah, continue.
Okay, all right. So, well, this is just some pictures showing when we did the experimental trials. You see they put it on some poles here. Because we realized ground more effective, we want to bring down the pole a little lower. Right? You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And good. So, apart from using the bottles, these bottles, you can also do the bucket system. The bucket system, it costs a little bit more because you have to buy the buckets, so unless you're getting it free. This system is also effective, but the bucket system tends to be a little bit more effective. And the reason why is if you look at the bucket system, the same bucket, we put with sugarcane pieces inside, we put with water, we take out the cover of the buckets, right? We bore a hole and we attach a funnel. So when the beakers come, they fall right inside. We attach, we pheromone and the wrinkle magnets, right? And we screw it back. We cover the bucket again with the same netting so they can climb on it. Yeah. Now, because unlike this one here, the pheromone and stuff is already exposed to the open environment, it tends to last a little longer, right? Because light and thing could break down the pheromone over some time. So by having it enclosed in tight like this, it tends to last a little longer. But both trapping systems work. And of course, because it's a bucket too, if you want to put it on the ground, it's more stable. You understand? This is a little shaky, you might want to tie it up with a little something, wind might knock it down, but a bucket more stable. So it depends on you, what you have, right? Okay, so, right. And of course, I'm going to go through that very briefly, because I'm sure Troy and the others will talk about that, but of course, cultural practice is important. Troy already talked about that. Don't just go and just start pruning, right? Because when you're pruning, the weaver say, aha, a nice, a womb opening, easy for me, easy access, and then he smells it. They have receptors that pick up the scent of the coconut. So be very careful when you're pruning, right? Of course, the dead ones are infected tree. It needs to be removed immediately. And what I mean by immediately, I mean try to get rid of it within a 24-hour period. Don't leave it there and say, I'll see one man tomorrow, or go and deal with it. So you try to get rid of it immediately. We need either burning it or burying it. Yes, because whilst you have it there, the larva's inside there, some of them forming pupa, flying around and spreading it all over the place. Okay?
I think the cutting of the infected trees is more effective than the pheromone. You need to stand up and say?
Yes, go on.
Sorry, I just wanted to interject with the cutting of the trees. Once the tree is infected and you see it dying, already there are life stages there, whether it's larvae or pupae or even adults. If you cut, Troy will tell you, you can remove up to 60, 70 from one tree. So it makes better sense to destroy it at that point than to let it fly away and then try to come back and trap it. Because trapping will never catch 100%. Despite the best efforts, and it will never catch 100%. So it's critical, a dying tree is to bring down that top, open it up, and burn or destroy all the life stages that it catches. I think that will be more a very good complement to the trapping system. Yeah.
Very good, yeah. So we're just going to do a little recap. I'm going to leave it for last, right? To save time, because we're already late. But just for a little recap, briefly, we know the symptoms of the red ring disease. Who could just give me one?
The brown, when you cut it open, you'll see the brown rim.
Right. In the vascular area, kind of wrong rim, right. So briefly, I'm not going to go through, where's the sticker? So yellowing, leaf hanging, the ring, premature fruit drop. So I'm going to skip all of that because the discussion session, we're going to go back that, right? Go over that. I'm just going to recap this one here. So with the improved trapping system and validation trials that we did throughout the region, we can say that the funnel trapping systems are a little bit more environmentally friendly. One, because we don't have to use no insecticide. The funnel, it goes in there and it drowns. And even though they don't go down to drown inside, they trap. So they'll fly around and get exhausted and still die, right? Yeah. Then the addition of both the wrinkle magnets and the wrinkler pheromone, plus the sugarcane and water as a food source, it makes a really good trapping system. We also looked at placement of trap. The ground method seems to be better than high above or taller than 1.5 meters, right? So I'm going to wrap up here. Thank you very much for your time. I know we pressed for time, right? So thank you all very much.